Hey guys, it's Upa here. So we have a brand new Spirit Beast, so let's go through the skills and then let's give it a try. So the new Spirit Beast is over here. You can see right here, this Calamity Bone Dragon, and it looks really awesome. So let's take a look at the skills at 5 stars. So deal some damage and reduces their turn meters by 16%. This is decent. Removes 3 layers of buff from all enemies. This is okay as well. And Calamity Bone Dragon, whenever it does damage, this damage has an extra 60% mastery. So far pretty straightforward and nothing too amazing, but of course I expect the stronger skills to come later on. After casting skills each time, inflicts Calamity Wrath, which increases all damage taken by 4% up to 10 layers, so up to 40%. This is going to be really strong in both PvP and PvE, where this damage taken by up to 40% will be very good, of course. And if the target is a boss, increases the target's burn damage taken by 8% and reduces their attack by 4%. So far this does seem like a burn specific Spirit Beast, I guess you could say, but even then, this part at the start that increases all damage taken by up to 40% is going to be incredibly strong for both PvP and PvE content, especially damage related content such as 7 Sages of Luli. So far it's looking pretty good. Next, for every one ally with either Attribute Steal or Burn tag deployed, increases all allies by 8%, so you can use either Attribute Steal or Burn, and this is pretty interesting because this allows this Spirit Beast to be slotted into 2 different types of teams, and increases all allies attack by 8%, so this means that it can go up to 8 times 5, which is going to be 40%. Not a extremely huge value for this game, but still nice to have. And after any ally dies, Calamity Bone Dragon will cast skill to counter attack enemies once, and this can only be triggered once in any turn. So yeah, this just will help the Spirit Beast stack up all these increased damage buffs and so on when your heroes die. After any ally dies, increases 100% turn meter for the active ally with the most initial HP and resets the active skill cooldown. So this, I think, in my opinion, is the most interesting part about the Spirit Beast. This resets the active skill cooldown. Is going to counter things like Lydia, which massively increases the cooldowns of your heroes. And this works really well with Boreas in particular, because when an ally dies, then your most initial HP character, which oftentimes can be someone like Boreas, will instantly get a turn, and that will allow Boreas to revive that said hero. Besides, the active skill cannot be interrupted before the next action turn ends, so this just guarantees the revive. Once again, really strong with Boreas in particular. An ally will obtain Return of the Calamity after granting speed up to 5 times. So this effect seems to be catered towards Kayn, which triggers speed up to so many times in a short time span. Of course, this can apply to any speed up to related hero, but this will work on Kayn the best, and what that does is resets the cooldown of all own skills after casting skills proactively, and then removes this Return of the Calamity buff. So once again, this cooldown reduction is going to counter things like Lydia, and we can see this effect can be triggered only once each wave. I assume that this once each wave clause applies to this entire paragraph, because if it doesn't apply for this when an ally dies part, then your Boreas is just going to be infinitely reviving, which is going to be crazy. So let's go back to this Spirit Beast cultivation event. How it works is you can spend 200 gems a day for some of these Spirit Beast food, and you can see the rewards over here. You will start with this lower tier food, and then you have an 8% chance for this greater tier food, and the greater tier food counts as 10 towards this progress bar. So in general, each copy of this Spirit Beast should cost around 100 USD, which is of course very expensive, as is most Spirit Beasts in this game. Besides that, if you're a free-to-play player or even if you're a spender, you can make sure to do this trial quest function over here, as you can see. And what that does is very simple. You simply just get to try the Spirit Beast like so. So we're gonna just do some of our fights, maybe we'll do 2 or 3, and we'll see how it works. So the only issue I would say that is with these trial quests is usually you can't really set a preset with them. So you can see for this fight over here, I'm not using a preset, which means my Apsara isn't going to prioritize using her special 4 and her gem, which is going to be really annoying. But yeah, so when you do test with, in this event, take it with a grain of salt, because it most likely won't be the most optimal way to use the pet. However, this pet is very likely, as with most new pets, going to be extremely strong. So this is a fight I definitely would have won anyway, so it's really not that special that I'm gonna be winning here. but we can try against a harder opponent and see how that goes. So we have advantage over here, incredibly strong opponent, and you can see I actually can't use my preset over here. So let's maybe manual the first few turns just to make sure I can get Apsara's special 4 and special 2 out. So let's use our Lydia special 4 here. I just want to make sure that my Apsara is able to use her special 4 as the first ability. After that, I'll just leave it on auto, which is still not ideal, but I mean, there's only so much we can do to kind of circumvent this problem. And if we do win this regardless, then that's just going to tell me how strong this Bone Dragon pet is going to be. So you can see one of our hero died, so now we have our hero with the highest HP, which should be able to take a turn. And actually his cooldown should have been reduced, so I'm not sure why he does have his cooldowns. Well, he doesn't have his cooldown, so that's a little strange. And I assume that's probably because of Lydia, so a bit unusual. I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. So once again, his cooldown's just not up. So a little strange and maybe a bug, I'm not too sure, but seems like some Lydia shenanigans, which might get fixed because I think he is supposed to counter Lydia. So let's fight someone else. Let's fight maybe this AJ21 player. He's pretty good and his team will be pretty strong against mine. So once again, I'm not going to be surprised if he beats me over here. But the thing about this comp at least is this enemy lineup does not have Lydia. So let's see if our cooldowns get messed up when a hero dies, and from there we can, I guess, kind of see whether this Spirit Beast is bugged or not. So one of our heroes died, which means our highest HP character, which is Boris, should be able to take a turn now. And okay, so he can. And what we want to do, I guess, is we can just use our special 4 over here. And okay, so it didn't go too well as well, and not really too much of a surprise for me. I kind of want to try that again actually. But okay, let's fight this player first, Furor. And so far, I mean, of course, what the team I'm using here isn't necessarily the strongest lineup you can use with the Spirit Beast. And once again, to mention, I'm not using a preset, which very heavily affects the strength of the team. So this shouldn't be, I guess, this shouldn't like be your final verdict, or this shouldn't help you create your final verdict as to whether this pet is overpowered or not. You kind of have to let people figure out what the meta team using this Spirit Beast is. But what I'm seeing so far is, to be honest, not that amazing, especially against Lydia teams where it seems like Boreas still has his cooldowns whenever he takes a turn, which is kind of defeats the point, right? Because I did say earlier that in theory this pet is supposed to help counter the Lydia teams, but so far it doesn't really seem like that's the case. So anyway, let's keep going. And yeah, these are fights, especially this one. This is probably a fight I would have won with my regular team, so not too promising so far. And let's just stop the testing for now. So one last thing before we go is I wanted to take a look at the equipment, which is of course going to be a very major factor. So let's take a look at the Spirit Beast equipment over here. And what we can see is increases Spirit Beast attack, and then when it's equipped by itself, obviously the Spirit Beast which needs it, then after casting skills each time, grants increased basic attack damage and skill damage by up to 10 layers. And when an ally steals attributes from enemies or obtains speed up 2, so once again, either Kane or just attribute steal characters, increases Calamnity Bone Dragon's turn meter by 10%. This effect can be triggered once at any turn and up to 4 times. So this is going to be a really strong equipment for the Spirit Beast, especially this first part over here, which increases the basic attack damage and skill damage dealt by allies up to 60%. That's going to be incredibly strong. So we'll let this fight play out, and if I lose this fight, I have really nothing to say because this should be an extremely easy one. But once again, as mentioned several times in this video, the presets do make a very big deal, and of course Spirit Beast does as well. And this team may not be ideal for this Spirit Beast. So just give it some time, let people do some testing, and wait for the meta to develop, and then we will see in a future date just how strong this Spirit Beast is. But in my opinion, there should be no question that this Spirit Beast is going to be extremely strong for PvE content. For PvP, probably at minimum in 3v3, but for Classic Arena, we will have to see. So of course, I'm going to do these 5 remaining battles without recording it because it's going to just become a really boring video. So thanks for watching, that's all for today, and I'll see you guys next time.